So did you go to college?
Never been to college.
Never been to college. And
No.
so what are your thoughts about college? Because I have this conversation with a lot of people. I mean, I'm like people will, if you look at my Instagram, I'm sure that I get a lot of, it's very controversial, because I talk about, for most people, I believe college is a scam for most people.
Yeah.
Because people are giving away tens of thousands of dollars to people that never can give them ideas that can change their life. And so what's your thoughts on college?
Well, that's a good one. Obviously, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, you have no choice. There's no other way around it. But, figure out, where did college come from? Where does schooling come from? It came from the 1600s, whatever it was, where we got to do something with our kids. We have to teach them something. So how do we do that? We put them in front of a teacher with a desk, and we have a book, and we go from there. Well, let's say there was no humans on this planet, and all of a sudden, boom, we snapped our fingers, and everybody came to the time we live in right now. Would somebody think about a school that way? I doubt it. I mean, we'd probably do everything online, or maybe on the beach, or I don't know. So I think if you took an 18-year-old, two 18-year-olds with similar backgrounds, because that's important, obviously, and you took one and you didn't put that person in college, and you took another person and you put that person around somebody like yourself or myself, and let them see what the real world is like, how to take risks, how to move forward no matter what happens, blah, blah, blah. I think that person's going to have a greater advantage. So I've never been to college. Do I need somebody to proofread some stuff? Yeah. Could I put a little bit more energy into my writing skills? Yeah, but I don't want to. I pay somebody else to do that. And I don't say that in an arrogant way. Now, I'm blessed that my 7th grade teacher taught me how to type. It was my favorite thing. I can type 80 words a minute now. And that's one of the greatest things I learned from school. But I could have done that on a computer too, right? That's probably, I'm just not for it. I mean, I know it's structure for some people, but I mean, stop and think about it. And this isn't anything. I would go to school and I'm thinking, holy crap, there's a break, a bell that goes off every hour for each class. So I pee away 10 to 15 minutes per hour. Then it takes another 5 minutes to roll call and settle in. And then 5 minutes to close the school class up to go to the next one. What am I really getting out of this? And I remember having a conversation with my 10th grade teacher, and he looked at me and says, Gary, this is too boring for you. Because it's so funny, Daniel. I went to 2 schools. So in one school, it was 9th grade and 11th grade. So in 9th grade and 11th grade, other students considered me very smart because I was kind of like a bookworm, nerdy guy. In 10th grade, the school I went from 9th and 11th grade, in the 10th grade, I skipped and went over to another school. And the school I was in 9th grade, when I finished 10th grade, I went back to the 11th grade. So now when I went back to 10th grade, I started recognizing and noticing these things called female. Well, my grades went from straight A's to, I got my first D. It's like, holy crap, I got a D. But it wasn't because I was stupid, but I just didn't care. So everybody in that school, to this day, if they see me, they look at me as stupid unless they know what I do. Right. And it was quite interesting because I'll never forget it. I had a science teacher that says, you're so stupid, you'll never make it. And I looked at him and said, you have no idea. And I don't say that arrogantly. Then I leave that school, go back to the 11th grade school, and everybody goes, oh, we missed you for a year. There's a smart kid again. And I'm thinking, wow, one school perceives me as smart, one school perceives me as stupid. In fact, when I was in 7th grade, and you can call this smart or stupid, I remember the first day in class, one of the teachers said, okay, we're going to have to move some people into algebra. So we want to find out if anybody knows fractions so we can move you into algebra so we don't hold you back. So does anybody here know fractions? I put my hand up. I didn't know fractions. All right. Now there were 4 other kids that put their hand up as well. So I made sure I was the last kid. All right. So she would come up and say to the class, the four kids, all right, come up, solve this problem. And the child or student number 1 did it, 3 and 4. When it came to me, I figured the answer out by process of elimination by watching the other 3 people. And because of that, they put me into algebra. Well, now the problem is I flunked algebra and geometry because I didn't even know how to do fractions, but it just did make me stupid. I was smart, quote unquote, to have gotten moved up, but I didn't know fractions. So from that part on, people started looking at me as stupid. You don't even know what a triangle, but you know.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy, Gary, because I look at so many of the kids that I went to high school with, and there was a lot of smart kids. There was a lot of smart people. I mean, really, really smart, book smart. And I was one of the dumb ones. I was the C minus D plus student.
Yeah.
And that my senior year, I took ceramics. I took cartooning. I took, I took every easy class that you could possibly take. I mean, my senior book for my English class was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Wow. All right. So, I mean, it was like with the pictures and everything. And there's school was just not, but see, what happened to me is that I got into business, and all I did, just like you basically process elimination, figured out what those other kids were doing. I took a mentor of mine that was making millions and millions of dollars a year. And I said, hey, Garrett, I'm going to do what this guy's doing, because I do understand that he doesn't look that smart to me. I mean, he looks like a guy that puts on his pants just like I put on my pants. Sure. It's just the only difference between him and me is he's been doing this longer. Yes. So if I can steal, and I said that because, I stole crap when I was a kid, you know what I mean? And so if I could steal that guy's information, I could get his life. Yeah. I want that guy's life. I want to live like him. And so does that kind of make sense to you? I mean, is that
100%? Are you kidding me? And I think a lot of people, they don't do that enough. And those who try, they listen to see what the other person's doing, but they're not willing to do it. So you can't just steal the idea and keep it with you. You got to steal it and do something with it. And that brings you results. And when it doesn't, you keep doing it again. You're going to get it sooner or later.
That's it, man. You went through a lot of difficult patches in your life. There's no doubt about it. Tell us a little bit about a couple of really tough situations you had in your life and how you turned it around and overcame it.
Yeah. After being successful, when I was younger, I got married and things made a dramatic change after that. My wife and I, we had a baby, and she tells me later on, it's not mine. Grandfather and stepfather died of cancer. Uncle killed in a plane crash. Get a phone call from my mom, let me know my father had just been shot point blank in his chest, drowned in his own blood. All this by the time I was 21 years of age. So very, very difficult. And then, unfortunately, I was raised in a cult, and I just left that, in fact, about 10 years ago. So when you leave this cult, all your so-called friends and family will shun you. So now I had all that to deal with. My belief system totally just shot to smithereens. What I used to believe is no longer true or exists, etc. So yeah, that was massive challenge, massive challenge. And the problem with that is we all have stuff stuck in what I refer to, Daniel, as our emotional hard drive. And when you have things stuck in your emotional hard drive, you may mean well to get to the next level, but many times you can't, because the problems that people often have in their business and their finances is a reflection of things that are stuck in their emotional hard drive. And I don't care how many positive affirmation jumping jacks we do, if you don't clean that stuff out, you can only take yourself to a certain level. And this is why many people often know what they need to do to get more results, but they can't get themselves to do it. So if you can figure out what those mental blocks are, and really learn how to switch them. And I became obsessed with it. And that's how I got all this media attention that you brought about. I became obsessed to figure out what are the blocks, what are the subconscious programmings that we have. And then the obsession for me was, how fast can I change it? So I demonstrate where I take people, in fact, when companies hire me for keynote addresses, I take people who have massive psychological limitations, I bring them on stage and I have a 4-step process that I use to rewire people's thinking. And then I do that on stage while the audience literally witnesses a transformation. And I'm not knocking, there's so many people, I'm a transformational expert. What the heck does that mean? What I literally do, I will literally go in and rewire your screwed up emotional hard drive while people witness it. And this is what I do behind the scenes for Dr. Phil shows. The doctors, they bring the worst case scenarios of anything. They have people who've been to all the therapists, all the coaches. And my thing is I do in 1 hour what a therapist doesn't do in a year. And the ability to do that, I think, comes from, unfortunately, all the crap I've been through. If I had not gone through all this, I would not have an inventory to figure, okay, how do I do this? How do I get to the next level? And it's what I'm obsessed with. And I have my 2-day live events where I bring people. They come in from all over, and for 2 days, they watch these live transformations at the same point, learning what they can do to figure out what's slowing and blocking them. And here's the crazy thing about this. You could start a new relationship, have a new child, a new venture, and you have no idea what's blocking you until you get into something new. And then all of a sudden, boom, something happens. Like, for example, I know you're in a relationship, you're married now. Let's say for whatever reason, you're doing fine, you get along with your wife and your family, you go into another relationship. There's a whole different blocks that you got to go through because somebody else has got a different thing going on. It's when you hire people to work with you. I mean, it's crazy. So that is why I think it's so important to learn how to change this. And it's not, Daniel, where people say, change your story, change your life. It's deeper than that. It's change your story, believe your story, change your life. Because I can say all day long, I can't. And somebody can say, oh no, Gary, say you can. And then I can say, I can. But if I still believe I can't, then I still can't. So what you have to learn to do is, number one, then identify what the story is or the limited thought processes that are slowing you down. Change it, believe it. Nothing changes until you believe it. Once it's believed, then you've got the next level coming. And that's my game.
So thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.